You're watching Africa's finest breakfast show, Newday, on People's Television. You find us on channel 120 on the Star Times decoder. My name is Anthony Momodu. It's now time for us to shift gear into our discuss for today. We'll be looking at the anti-grazing bill in Benue State, and it looks like it's now the Benue State government versus the Meiti Allah group, who has constantly condemned the newly passed law as regards the anti-grazing bill, and has made no pretense as regards its stand not going to obey that. And the state government has come out strong to say, if you're not willing to abide by this bill or by this law, then you could as well leave the state, making the stage set for what might not be very palatable for the people of Benue State and the nation at large. That has engineered us to have this as a discourse for today. And we've got in the studio Mr. Solomon Semeka, who is a researcher fellow of the International Crisis Management and Civil Relations Institute. Good morning, nice to have you join us.
Anthony, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. All right, what would you say is the genesis of this, and do you agree with the Meiti Allah group that says the bill is not friendly to them, and it's targeted at trying to put down the Fulani race? Some people have said initially it wasn't about the Fulanis but about the herdsmen, but once the law came into being, the Meiti Allah group is beginning to label it against the Fulani in order to draw sentiments.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Quite frankly, I would like us to address this issue from a different dimension today.
Okay.
You see, when the anti-open grazing bill came up, it has been discussed in various dimensions.
Okay.
But I would want us to discuss this issue today in the context that people have not understood what this law is all about. People have taken positions for or against the law without first of all having a deep knowledge of what the law represents.
Can you tell us what's the anti-grazing?
The anti-open grazing law is a child of necessity.
Okay.
It has been enacted to bring peace on the Benue Valley. In the last 10 years, the people of Benue have not had peace. And a typical Benuean indigene is a farmer. And the relationship between farmers on the Benue Valley has been terribly bloody in the last 10 years. Why? Because the herdsmen have decided to encroach their farmers, the farmers there. There have been no peace, and the manner in which they do this thing has been so deadly. So this current governor, in his magnanimity, decided to take the bull by the horn by saying, oh, come on, since the federal government cannot come to the rescue of my people, let us come together and do what is going to salvage the situation. It is in that spirit that the anti-open grazing bill came into law. And don't forget, this anti-open grazing bill is not a one-sided law.
Can you take us into some of the highlights?
If you go to section 3 of the law, subsection E, it says to prevent, control, and manage the spread of disease, as well as ease the implementation of policies that enhance the production of high quality and healthy livestock for the local and international markets. Now, this particular section is in support of the herdsmen, because if their herds they are not healthy, it cannot be marketed internationally.
Okay.
If their herd is not healthy, it cannot be marketed internationally. So this law basically takes care of even the interest of the herdsmen more than the interest of the farmers.
But then again, do the herdsmen know this? Like the Meiti Allah group, they have come out to say that the bill is set out to,
Hold on. It is because of lack of understanding. I can tell you that the Meiti Allah have not taken time to go through this law. They do not understand the law completely. My advice to the group is that they should invest more funds in awareness and sensitization about what the law is all about. They are opposing the law with a blind view towards it. They do not understand what the bill is all about.
What are they not comfortable about in the law?
I think from what they have been saying that they are citizens of this country, they have the right to move all over the country, but They have forgotten to understand that their right to move all over the country does not include the cattle. They can move all over the place, yes, but they are not allowed to move all over the country together with their cattle. Yeah.
Now, what would be your advice as to how to go about this diplomatically in order not to forestall whatever problems that might arise from this? Because we heard that some time ago the group threatened to invade Benue and unleash whatever mayhem, even though they later came out to say that there was nothing like that. But as it is now, there has not been enough understanding, like you have pointed out. So what would be your advice as to how the Benue government can go about this diplomatically to ensure that we don't have problems erupting from this?
Quite frankly, I think to be fair to the Benue State government and the current governor of Benue State, His Excellency Samuel Tom, he has been diplomatic to an extent. What we should question now is what is giving the headsmen the impetus, the courage, the prowess to threaten a conglomerate of people. How dare you go on national television to threaten a group of people who have given you a leverage to operate within their premises over a long period of time? I think what we should do is that we should caution the Miyetti Allah to abide by the tenets of the law so that there will be peace. As far as I am concerned, and as far as the law is concerned, and more importantly, as far as the Benue State government is concerned, diplomacy has been maximized in the enactment of this law.
Okay, what will be your take? I think that was October 27th this year. We had the Benue State government come out, raise an alarm that, like she said, Miyetti Allah had the plans to attack the people of Benue State. Would you say you're comfortable with the response of the security agencies within the state and at the federal level in order to forestall whatever plans? Would you say you're satisfied with the response of the federal government?
Quite frankly, we are not satisfied. As a Benue indigene, I am not satisfied. The Benue State government is also not satisfied because prior to the enactment of this law, it is even before this law came into existence, it was illegal for the herdsmen to encroach on the property of farmers. So it was not as if it was legal before the coming into play of this law. It was even illegal even before now. So the responsibility of the Nigerian security agencies even before then was to promote peace and security and human rights of the Benue indigents. Yet their indifference, their nonchalant attitude towards it, this was what made the governor to sit up, to bring up this law, and now there is a task force that has been set up to implement this law. So what gives us confidence now is that even if the security agencies at the federal level decide not to take this law serious, we have a task force under the law that will help the state government to implement the law. So we have confidence in the state government task force that we implement this.
Okay, what will be your? Do you think the judiciary has also helped this issue, taking instance from the era of the Aguta killings, the killings that took place there? Then also the fact that Miyetti Allah has said they've taken this case to court, taking the Benue State government to court as regards this anti-grazing open bill. What are your expectations from the judiciary in terms of either supporting or not supporting the bill?
You see, the hands of the judiciary are tied.
Why do you say they are tied?
They are tied because it is the security agencies that must give direction to the implementation of whatever law that is on ground. It is the security agencies that first of all ascertain whether a law has been broken, and then it is at that point that it can be taken to the judiciary for them to do it, to give a proper interpretation. So when the security agencies have refused to play their own role, I think it is going to be quite frankly difficult for the judiciary to take sides. But as it stands now, it is very clear, based on the new law that we have in Benue now, that if you refuse to abide by what is on paper, if you go against the law, it is very clear what the judiciary will do. And I think the judiciary are not oblivious of their roles.
Okay. Now, let's look at it from this point of view. Analysts, critics have looked at it from this point, saying that it's a way of destroying the means of livelihood of these people who have grazed for years in Benue State. What can be the outcome of this if their means of livelihood is destroyed? Are we not going to look at more problems crimes, coming up from this section of people?
Thank you very much. I don't think the means of livelihood of anybody is being destroyed. The anti-grazing, the anti-open grazing bill has made a provision for the establishment of ranches.
Okay.
And I can tell you that it is more healthier and more profitable for the herdsmen to key into the ranching perspective of this business. The Benue State government has dedicated time and resources to promote ranching. So if you want to go into the business, if you want to continue in that line of trade, embrace ranching. We have land available. We have made provisions. This law, it takes care of the procedures that a herdsman can establish a private ranch. So as much ranches as they can establish, we are ready to give them the platform.
Who does it fall on now to really educate these people as to the benefits they have to gain from this?
My advice to the Benue State government is that since they have already taken a decision to promote peace and stability in the Benue Valley, they should also put in funds to carry out awareness and sensitization so that even the Mieti Arab, they will understand the dimension. Let them not leave the sensitization aspect to the Mieti Allah group alone. But I also implore the Mieti Allah group to invest more in the sensitization and let them look inwards to look at the advantages which this bill is going to bring upon their members and their business.
All right, as a research fellow of the International Crisis Management and Civil Relations Institute, what roles can international bodies play in order to help, the advocacy on the advantages of ranching, probably change the mindset of the Mietiala group, knowing fully well that it's been their culture over time?
You see, the United Nations organizations have had one prominent goal, which is the promotion of peace and unity among groups.
Okay.
Tolerance is very, very, very important in the pursuit of stability, progress, and development all over the world. The universal factor for peace, prosperity, and progress is tolerance. It is impossible for a man who was born and bred in Benue to come and live in Zamfara and be comfortable with all the way of life of the people in Zamfara. The only thing that can bring peace and development when the two people are cohabiting together is tolerance. I think the United Nations and the international community should continue to preach the importance of tolerance as they are doing at the moment.
How can they, do you expect them to play any role in bringing the Benue State government and also the Mieti Allah group to a round table? Probably because you probably start with the leaders of that group. Then when they agree and believe in the advantages, then probably it might be easier to take it down to their followers.
That is possible because at the moment, I think the Benue State government is contemplating an international security summit, which is going to bring on board all the stakeholders. And at the round table, they are going to discuss, and I believe those things will be trashed out.
Okay. If you look at the mass space of Benue State, do you think this ranches, creation of these ranches is going to be sustainable on the long run, knowing fully well that farming is the mainstay of the people of Benue State?
The ranching that is supported by this law is the best thing that has ever happened to the people of Benue and the Mieti Allah group.
And you think it's sustainable?
It is sustainable. Quite frankly, it is sustainable. It is sustainable. If you go to Brazil, where they live basically on agricultural products and specifically on the on cattle business, they do not have as much land as we have, but they have completely embraced ranching, and it is the mainstay of the Brazilian economy. So I think it is practicable here in Benue State too, and I'm sure that it is going to be sustainable.
Now, some other states, several other states, including Taraba and Plateau, they are ready to, embrace this, to do what Benue State has done. What would be your advice as to how they can go about it?
That is a good idea, but my advice to any state that is trying to take a clue onto what the Benue State government has done is that they should look at the peculiarities. There are the topic appears, the problem appears a universal one, but there are inherent peculiarities. Okay. They should not just adopt everything hook, line, and sinker. They could take a draft of it, study it, but they should be able to look at the differences, so that at the end of the day, they will come up with a bill that will be cosmopolitan.
Okay.
Thank you.
But let's just focus on the herdsmen specifically. At a point when this anti-open grazing bill was passed, we had the reports that there was this march protest by Fulanis as regards they are showing their stand against the bill. For you, do you think there's the need to separate the Fulanis as a people and the herdsmen who have over time caused mayhem in different farmlands? Could that help resolve the issue? Could that probably put it in better perspective?
You see, this is a perennial problem that has persisted for a long period of time. People have a lack of understanding of this issue. There is a difference between herdsmen and Fulani herdsmen. It is not every headman that is a Fulani man.
Okay.
So when you say Fulani headman, you are already wiping sentiments. You are already bringing emotions into the whole topic. So a typical Fulani man who is not a headman will not be comfortable with whatever position that you are taking completely.
Okay.
So Nigerians, and I implore my people from Benue and the Benue State government to be very, very careful in their choice of words. A Fulani headman is completely different from a headman. A thief man can also be a headman.
Okay. And
as I speak with you, there are thief people, there are Benue indigenes that have cattle that are also involved in open grazing. So when their cattle causes destruction and you turn to say it is a Fulani herdsman, a typical Fulani man will revolt against you. So my thinking, my understanding and my appeal to the Benue State government is that they should be able to separate herdsmen from Fulani herdsmen, so that we will be able to reduce the incidence of emotions. People are now discussing this issue, approaching this issue based on sentiments, emotions. Like yesterday, I was at a national event at Transcorp Hotel, and a very respected professor there. He saw somebody walk into the hall wearing a thief cap. He now made it was a mild comment, but it was not mild. He said he was not going to introduce that man because he's a Fulani man, and as far as that man is wearing a TV cap, that man has no recognition in this hall. The whole hall went into laughter. But that is deep. Yeah. It means even as a professor, he is revolting against the fact that they are aligning Fulani with herdsmen who are destructive. So I think we should be able to separate Fulani from the herdsmen. And not every herdsman is destructive. It's only a few within them that are destructive. I think government should concentrate on bringing out those ones to give appropriate punishment, rather than generalizing that every Fulani man is a head.
Okay. But how did you take that statement? Does it give us an idea how biased Nigerians are, and so probably it might take more than just legal issues to resolve this particular impasse we're having?
Fundamentally, like I said a couple of times, this is about sensitization. The Benue State government and the Mieti Allah group and the international community, which are the three principal partners in this deal, they should invest more in sensitization. If people have knowledge, if the Mieti Allah are made to understand what they stand to benefit from this law, their approach towards this law will be different. The people the farmers that live in the Benue Valley, if they are made to understand that this law is not made to instigate opposition or hatred against the Fulani or against the herdsmen, as the case may be, there will be more peace. The atmosphere will be more calm. The situation where even the people that are supporting this law do not even understand the law. Not to talk about the people that are not for the law. So both the people supporting the law and the people that are against the law do not even, first of all, understand what the law is all about. So the most important thing is for the three partners, the international community, the Mieti Allah and the Benue State government, to invest more in sensitization and awareness, so that people will get to understand what this law is basically all about. I think that is going to solve this impasse.
So coming to FCT, we still have instances where we see, cattle come into the road, herdsmen bring cattle into the roads, how can it also be addressed in FC? We're talking about FCT here now.
You see, that problem has been perennial. This is why I told you, I made mention of this earlier, that the security agencies and the federal government have been indifferent in trying to holistically address this issue. And it is because of this indifference on the part of the federal government that some state governments have now decided to take the bull by the horn. It is unheard of for herdsmen to be rearing cattle all over the place in a federal capital territory in this country. It's unheard of. So I think, quite frankly, the federal government have to sit up. It is my very honest opinion that the federal government have to sit up. And I think based on the security threats that this thing has posed to the nation, it will not be out of place for stakeholders to approach the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and the Inspector General of Police to appeal to them to bring on board whoever needs to be brought on board for this issue to be addressed. Quite frankly, it's an embarrassing thing for Nigerians to see heads roaming about the streets in the FCT.
Would you put it down to nepotism? That's why it's been hard for the current administration to actually take a very stern stand on this issue. Would you say nepotism is a very strong factor? Why?
Well, when you begin to look at it from the angle of nepotism, people begin to have a feeling, which is not a correct feeling anyway, that it is because the president is from a particular part of the north of the country that these people have this kind of impunity. I don't want to buy that kind of idea, because these people, the headsmen, have always been in this habit even before the president, Buhari, became the president. So when you begin to say nepotism, you are becoming emotional about the whole thing. I don't want to buy that view. My view is that Nigerians deserve a better day. Nigerians generally, from whether they are from the south or from the east or from the, they deserve a better day, and they deserve a dignified standard of living. And you cannot mix that up with allowing people to roam all over the street with cows and all of that. So whether the president is from the south or is from the east, it is wrong. It is wrong for heads of cattle to be roaming about the street in this country. So my opinion, my honest opinion, is that let Nigerians and stakeholders try to reduce sentiments and emotions when approaching these issues, so that we can have a very clear and fair judgment.
In as much as, yes, you don't want to take the path of nepotism, but how do you assess this when it was easy for the Fulanis to come out and march in protest of the open grazing bill, but when the killings were ongoing and when Nigerians kept yelling that the herdsmen were killing, they never came out to say, okay, we as Fulanis do not associate ourselves with this herdsmen, this set of herdsmen that are committing these crimes. Is there not something fishy about that?
You see, there is a connection
down to their leaders.
Well, there is a connection between what an ordinary man on the street thinks and what his brother in high places thinks. Sometimes, quite frankly, sometimes there is no connection. But you, as a Fulani man, let's be emphatic on that Fulani stuff now. You, as a Fulani leader who happens to be in the position of authority, even if you are not in support of what your Fulani brother is doing at the local level, you have to be diplomatic in approaching it. Otherwise, you are going to escalate the whole situation. So I think are
you going to escalate the situation when you speak against it, or you're going to reduce it?
Speaking, there is power in words, especially when it's coming from the hierarchy. I think that is what the Fulani leaders at the moment are trying to do. They are trying to be diplomatic. What I will not support is when it becomes very clear that they are trying to be politically correct. But at the moment, I want us to be fair, especially now that there is tension on this bill. Let us to be fair. Let us try to be fair to the Fulani leaders, but let us continue to implore on them not to take an indifferent stand. Let them take a position, but let us not rush them into that position. Let us see how things will unfold. I have confidence in President Buhari. I have confidence in the security agencies that as it is now, they are going to support the various state governments in trying to bring peace in this country.
Talking about peace and security, do words really work? Because when we look at the issue of Plateau killings, still talking about national security, of course, have we really seen any tangible action from the part of the federal government, part of President Buhari, aside from probably condemning the killings through words and saying one or two other things? We haven't really seen actions from part of the security agencies, from part of the federal government. So the words, is it just enough to come out and say, okay, this should not be done, this is not good? How powerful would action be as against words?
You see, there needs to be a total overhaul in the security apparatus of this country, but it has to be a gradual process. It cannot be done overnight. As far as the Plateau and the Benue issue is concerned, the hands of the state governments are tied. Like I said before, the onus is on the federal government agencies to do their best. Though, as we speak now, they are not doing their best, but we continue to hope that they will improve on the system.
All right. Just before we wrap up on the Benue issue, what has been the response of the Benue State citizenry, who have been the major victims of all the Gatu killings and all this crisis going on? What has been their response? Yes, you've said even some of them do not understand the bill, but what is their general response to this anti-open grazing bill? And do you think it's going to succeed? Because without the support of the people themselves, it might not also succeed.
Well, as far as the Benue people are concerned, and as far as this bill is concerned, the majority of the people that are residing on the Benue Valley, they are very comfortable with the bill. They have perceived it as a breath of fresh air. People who have suffered for decades, they have seen this bill as absolutely coming from God to bring peace on the land. And I think...
How did you get that feedback? How did you know the response was,
Oh, because prior to this bill, if you go on the social media, especially on Facebook, the comments against the person of the governor as a person were quite terrible. To a point, it got to a level that nobody wanted to hear about the name Samuel Otom, because it was as if he had taken sides with the herdsmen. He had taken sides with them to bring them on the Benue Valley to come and kill the indigenous. But now, as we speak, the man's popularity has skyrocketed. It has gone up.
Okay.
It has gone up. So I think it's a very clear indication that the people are comfortable with the bill.
All right. Let's just shift gear a little bit into the Plateau issue going on, the killings, renewed killings. Just recently, we did hear that about 29 persons were killed in a fresh attack. Do you think the Plateau State government is really serious about ending these killings? If you look at the fact that each time, at a point, we hear that there were curfews and the security agencies take a group of people to a school to protect them, but while they are there, they still attack them and get them, the people killed. And this, in one such cases, the Nigerian said they were overwhelmed with the number of people that attacked them. Do you think there's a sincere, willpower to stop these killings in Plateau State, or do you think there's a conspiracy outside the state that's making this work in collaboration with security agencies?
The issue of Plateau State, let me first of all commend His Excellency Governor Simon Lalong. Simon Lalong has been very, very, very proactive in maintaining peace.
How has he been proactive? Because there have been lots
for
of
the last
killings.
No, I disagree with you. For the past 2 years that he has been on the saddle on the Plateau, the frequency of killings in Plateau have been greatly reduced. You cannot compare what is happening in the Plateau now with what used to happen in the Plateau in the past 4 years. The last killings, the last batch of killings that happened in Plateau, the governor was supposed to be in London on an official assignment. He left London halfway to come back into the country to tackle the situation. And I want to use this opinion to this medium to appeal to the stakeholders in Plateau, because there's a recent statement that was credited to His Excellency the former governor of Plateau State, John Ajang. The statements that were credited to him were unstatesmanly.
What did he say?
He was trying to attribute the crisis to the person of Governor Simon Lalong. And at that point,
And as an ex-governor, don't you think he must have seen something, gotten some privileged information that would have made him sure of that? Because if you see the records we have in October and September, like thrice or twice in September, there were various killings. In October, there were also twice different killings.
It becomes
taking
highly
place.
suspicious. It becomes highly suspicious for politicians to begin to make political statements when elections are around the corner. The local government elections in Plateau State are scheduled for February next year. Why is it that these killings have now erupted in quick succession, few months to the elections, local government elections? Is it that politicians are trying to destabilize the state government so that they would take advantage of that?
Are you saying it is his political enemies that are engineering this?
Quite
killings?
frankly, for this particular session of killings in Plateau, it is political. It is political.
Okay, now going back to how security agencies have been, or agents rather, have been able to handle the Plateau killings and all of that, is it not worrisome that faces have not been able to be identified? They've not been able to put names to the faces or faces to the crimes that have been going on in Plateau. What does this really say about the security agencies?
Security is a very complex matter. You don't approach security issues from the perspective of layman understanding. As we speak now, I have it on good authority that the security agencies are doing their best, and in the fullness of time, they are going to unravel whichever figure is behind the crisis. So I think it's a matter of time.
What convinces you with that statement? Haven't seen that there have been killings going on in Plateau State, and the Nigerian army have never come out to say we've caught one. Are they saying they've never confronted these headsmen and they've not been able to kill even one headsman? They've not been able to capture even one headsman all through these attacks? Is that not worrisome? And the fact that there's a curfew, and every time there's a curfew, that's when these people, I thought curfew meant no movement. So where are the security agencies when these men move in, attack, and they do this in their 50s, in their 100s, they attack without? Is that not suspicious?
Well,
so
it boils down to time. Everything boils down to time. The Nigerian army specifically have been on top of the situation, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as security is concerned. And then again, I want to correct one wrong impression which you just mentioned here. Curfew is meant for it's meant to be observed by lawful citizens, not unlawful citizens. A man who is planning to come and kill you does not have regard for curfew.
What I'm saying is the fact that you have the lawful citizens in the majority, right?
Yeah.
So it means you're going to have less people on the street because they're going to adhere to, like, for example, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. curfew. So technically what it means, when you see people moving in large numbers, reading weapons, then obviously it should be easier for the security agencies to know that these are
the people who
so how come
usually
never been able
the
to
people
capture
who
them?
usually come to kill people don't move about in large numbers. You don't need 100 people to kill 1,000 people. You need just 5 people to kill 1,000 people in less than 5 minutes.
Okay, you
so
need
people
5
don't need to move about
Are you
in
saying the security agencies could not have seen the 5 persons moving about?
Do I let me?
Because the fact that there's a curfew doesn't mean that they should go to sleep.
Sleep too. So
No,
because if they are active,
no.
then they should be able to-
Hold on. It's even in the United States of America where they are the kings of surveillance, where they are the masters of security. Such instances occur.
But this has happened too many times. We had twice in September, we had it in October, and we're having 25th, on the 16th, on the 29th, September 8th, September 29th. We have October 16th, 25th. These are within days intervals.
Then of course I think we have resolved on that. What we say is that it's in the fullness of time the security agencies will be able to bring the whole situation in control, in Plateau in control. And don't forget that I have specifically told you that the succession of these killings in Plateau State is as a result of the forthcoming election, which is scheduled for February.
Why are you so certain about that?
Because of the political statements are being made in recent times by stakeholders on the plateau.
Aside from political statements, is there any tangible proof to indicate that?
Yes, because since Governor Simon Lalong took on the mantle of leadership in the last 2 years, the killings in Plateau were almost completely eliminated until just 3 months ago. And then again, the most supportive aspect of it is the statements that have been made by political stakeholders, and not just political stakeholders. To be very precise, the immediate past governor of Plateau State.
Can we hold Jonah Jang responsible? And why is it difficult for Samuel Lalong to probably call the security agents to action and say, okay, I think this ex-governor is saying things that deserve to be investigated. Why hasn't he done that?
Instead of the people living suffering.
The Samuel Lalong, His Excellency Samuel Lalong, is a very diplomatic and peaceful leader. In order not to heat up the policy, the politics.
But the lives of his people have been taken away.
Yeah.
Yes, in the fullness of time, like I said before, in the fullness of time, the state government, the Plateau State government, and the security agents, they are going to weigh the pros and cons of whatever statement, whatever action, whatever body language anybody brings on board. They will weigh it properly, and at the right time, a decision will be taken.
Can we attribute all of this to the lack of synergy between security agencies in the country?
Yes, that is not far from the truth. It is as a result of lack of synergy, lack of focus on the part of the security agencies, and more importantly, lack of patience on the side of politicians.
Okay.
They are cashing in on the loopholes. They are cashing in on the loopholes to heat up the politics and take advantage of the situation. So it is my honest opinion, it is my cherished view that politicians should exercise restraint in trying to advance their political ideas, so that peace will be maintained in the country.
Okay.
All right. Finally, before we let you go, we just want to just get your views. Finally, what would be your advice to the Plateau State government as a way forward? The Benue State government has done the needful by introducing this anti-open grazing bill, which they hope would secure the lives and properties of the Benue indigenes and every resident of Benue State. For Plateau State, what could be the very strategic move to be done in order to ensure peace? Do we encourage for community policing? What should be the way forward for Simon Lalong?
My advice to His Excellency Governor Simon Lalong is that it is high time he takes the bull by the horn, just like his brother and friend, His Excellency Samuel Otom. Continued reliance on the federal security agencies is now counterproductive and is very clear. So he should put in place proactive measures, one of which is to take a clue at the Benue State anti-open grazing bill, so that he can go through it, amend the areas that needs to be amended, so that it can suit the problems that are peculiar to the Plateau State. But I think there should be a law. They should stop approaching the problem based on speculation and assumptions. They should enact a law that will put in black and white what needs to be done and what needs not to be done, so that peace will be brought on the plateau.
Your final message to the people of various states and also the state government, looking at the way the Metia Allah group has taken this new law.
My final word to the people of Benue State is that they should maintain calm. They should be calm. They should not take the law into their hands, even in the face of provocation, even as this law exists. That in the fullness of time, the Metia Allah will come to terms with the reality and they will abide by the law.
All right, this is how we call it a wrap on this discourse. We want to say a big thank you to Solomon Semeka, who is a research fellow of the International Crisis Management and Civil Relations Institute, for joining us and helping us try to find solutions towards the continuous plateau killings, and also the anti-open grazing bill that was passed by the Benue State government, and the stand over the Métis Allah group. This is hoping that also the federal government and the international organizations like the United Nations, give a helping hand just to resolve this crisis so that Nigeria and Nigerians could actually live in peace and also prosper through their agricultural prowess. All right, so we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, New Day definitely would continue.
Do you know that PTV remains the best place to showcase those lovely goods and services of yours? Yes, with our visibility in 36 states of Nigeria and over 50 countries of the world, we definitely have the talent reach. What are you waiting for? Book your adverts now. Call us with the number displayed on your screen. Do you know that PTV remains the best place to showcase those lovely goods and services of yours? Yes, with our visibility in 36 states of Nigeria and over 50 countries of the world, we definitely have the talent reach. What are you waiting for? Book your adverts now. Call us with the number displayed on your screen.